The Minuet by Mary Mapes Dodge, 1831 to 1905. Grandma told me all about it, told me so I couldn't doubt it. How she danced, my grandma danced long ago. How she held her pretty head, how her dainty skirt she spread, turning out her little toes, how she slowly leaned and rose, long ago. Grandma's hair was bright and sunny, dimpled cheeks too, ah, how funny! Really quite a pretty girl, long ago. Bless her, why she wears a cap, Grandma does, and takes a nap every single day, and yet Grandma danced the minuet long ago. Now she sits there rocking, rocking, always knitting Grandpa's stocking. Every girl was taught to knit long ago. Yet her figure is so neat, and her ways so staid and sweet, I can almost see her now, bending to her partner's bow, long ago. Grandma says our modern jumping, hopping, rushing, whirling, bumping would have shocked the gentle folk long ago. No, they moved with stately grace, everything in proper place, gliding slowly forward then, slowly curtsying back again, long ago. Modern ways are quite alarming, Grandma says, but boys were charming. Girls and boys, I mean, of course, long ago. Brave but modest, grandly shy, she would like to have us try just to feel like those who met in the graceful minuet long ago. Were the minuet in fashion, who could fly into a passion? All would wear the calm they wore long ago. In time to come, if I perchance should tell my grandchild of our dance, I should really like to say, we did it, dear, in some such way, long ago. Okay, this is a poem by Mary Elizabeth Mapes Dodge. She was born in New York City. Her father was a chemist who was a promoter of scientific agriculture. Mary actually never went to school, but she was educated at home by various tutors and governesses, and she learned French and music and Latin and drawing and musical composition and things like that. Now, she was a writer of children's stories, and she was also an editor, and she was the editor of St. Nicholas magazine for about 30 years, which was a very successful magazine for children, and it had contributions by all sorts of great people. Her husband died when she was 28, and she used literature as a way to make money to live on. So what's this poem about? Well, this poem is about Grandma, and this poem is about the past, the present, and perhaps the future as well, and how things change, that times change, times don't always, things don't stay the same. And this poem, it looks at the way the speaker's grandmother has changed, and the attitudes of her grandmother. And this is the grandchild speaking, and it's quite a happy narrative poem, and it teaches about aging. It says that time changes everything, we all change, and this is the passage of time is something that happens to everyone, and this is a good thing. They're all leading different lives. Grandma told me all about it, told me so I couldn't doubt it. How she danced, my grandma danced long ago. So Grandma told me how Grandma used to dance. She used to go to dances, and how Grandma held her pretty head, and she spread out her skirt, her pretty, beautiful skirt, and turned out her little toes, and how she slowly leaned and rose. She leaned forward and she rose long ago. So this is a grandmother. She's talking to her granddaughter, and she's telling her granddaughter how she used to dance, how she held her head, what things were like when grandmother was a little girl, was a young girl. And I have a feeling her granddaughter here, she's 12 years old, 10 years old, 12 years old, something like that. Grandma's hair was bright and sunny. Today, now I imagine that grandma's hair is grey. Dimpled cheeks, how funny. So grandma had dimples in her cheeks, and that looks really funny, because I think probably today grandma's skin is wrinkled and old. Really quite a pretty girl long ago. So grandma was a pretty little girl long time ago, and this phrase long ago, this is something that repeats all the way through the poem. He's talking about the past and the present. And this is a memory of what things were like. And she's telling her granddaughter about it. Bless her. Why, she wears a cap. Grandma does, and takes a nap every single day. So, but now grandma wears a cap and she takes a nap in the afternoon every day. And yet, grandma danced the minuet long ago. But a long time ago, grandma was young. Grandma danced the minuet. It's a type of dance. Now she sits there rocking, always knitting grandpa's stocking. But nowadays, grandma's always in the rocking chair, rocking. And she's always knitting. She's knitting socks for grandpa. And this is what grandpa does today. Every girl was taught to knit long ago. All the girls were taught how to knit long ago. Yet her figure is so neat, and her ways so staid and sweet. I can almost see her now, bending to her partner's bow, long ago. And now grandma, she's very neat, she's very organised, and staid, something that is very old-fashioned. Her ways are very old-fashioned. They don't change, and they're very sweet. And I can see her, I can imagine her bending, I can imagine her dancing the minuet, I can imagine her curtsying to the bow of her partner long ago. The granddaughter can see her in her mind. Grandma says our modern jumping, hopping, rushing, whirling, bumping would have shocked the gentle folk long ago. So grandma's saying the way that the kids dance today, it's unbelievable. They jump about, they hop, they rush, they whirl, they bump. This would have shocked the gentle people long ago, because grandma's saying that the people were much gentler, were much more organised, were much calmer. but I think every young generation is full of its own energy. But this is still talking about traditional dances. No, they moved with stately grace, everything in its proper place. So in the old days, Grandma says they were very stately, they were very elegant, they moved gracefully. Everything was in the right place, everything had its proper place, but not anymore. Things are very different. Gliding slowly forward, then slowly curtsying back again. Long ago. So the dancers would glide forward. To glide is to move as if your feet aren't moving. And then curtsy. A curtsy is what a woman does. A gentleman bows and a lady curtsies. And there's a curtsy and then they glide back again. But all this is long ago. This is not what is happening now. Modern ways are quite alarming, Grandma says. The ways modern people do it is very alarming. But boys were charming. Girls and boys, I mean, of course. So Grandma says that the boys were charming, both the girls and the boys. And this is suggesting that maybe today they're a little bit rude, they're a little bit less charming. Long ago. And this is perhaps the idea of the old, that the way they do things today, this isn't the proper way that things used to be done. Brave but modest, grandly shy. She would like us to have a try. So in those days, people were brave and modest, and they were a little bit shy, but very grand. And she would like us to have us try, and a nice causative, have us try. She would like us to try, just to feel like those who met in the graceful minuet long ago. And she would really like that the people of this generation were able to try this at least once, to know how it felt to do the minuet, to live in that time, to live in that way. Were the minuet in fashion, who could fly into a passion? So if the minuet were fashionable today, there wouldn't be all of this passion, all of this movement. Things would be very different. Everybody would calm down. All would wear the calm they wore long ago. And everybody would be calm and relaxed like they were long ago. In time to come, if I perchance should tell my grandchild of our dance. And then the speaker's thinking, if I had a grandchild and I was telling my grandchild of the dances of today, I should really like to say, we did it, dear, in some such way long ago. She'd really like to be able to tell her grandchild that she did it in a specific way long ago. She'd like to be just like her grandmother, telling people just like her grandmother how it was, how things were, how dances were when she was a child. So, The Minuet by Mary Mapes Dodge.